I don't think you can go to a Disney park without there being some forced perspective. Today we're going to dive into what forced perspective is and all the ways Disney uses it. Forced perspective is an optical illusion that tricks you into thinking that something is larger, smaller, farther away, or closer than it actually is. This trick has been used for a very long time, even dating back to ancient Greek and Roman times. Today, forced perspective is used in photographs, sometimes just for fun. It's also used in movies to make different characters look bigger or smaller. It's used in paintings, architecture, and the Disney parks. As humans, we are able to see things in 3 dimensions because each eye is seeing something at a slightly different angle than the other. Our eyes can tell how far and how big an object is. We can also tell how far away an object is by the muscles in our eyes. When an object gets closer, our eyes move closer to see the object, just like when we go cross-eyed. Our brain uses the information from the muscles in our eyes to tell us how close an object is. If an object is placed more than 30 feet away, however, it is harder to determine how large or small an object is, making it easier to create objects with forced perspective to trick our eyes. Our brain will also use knowledge we already have of objects to tell us how far away it is. For example, when we see a tree, we know how big a tree is, and depending on if the tree is big or small, that will tell us how far away it is. Forced perspective works best when you can control the viewpoint. Disney uses forced perspective as soon as you get past the ticket booth, and it's one of the most photographed places in all of Disney. And no, it's not the castle. The Mickey Head Flower Garden right at the entrance uses forced perspective. Since the garden sits on a hill, the actual garden is slightly elongated so that when viewed from the ground, it looks like a perfect Mickey head. Main Street USA uses a lot of forced perspective. The buildings get smaller as they go up, creating the illusion that they are taller than they actually are. Many people think that the first floor is at full scale, the second is at 5/8 scale, and the third floor is at 1/2 scale. But according to the Imagineers, the facades on Main Street are normal size at ground level, smaller at the second, and still smaller above that, and so on, meaning that everything is scaled to look just right. So one building might have a first floor at 12 feet, a second floor at 8, and a third at 7, while another building might have a 13-foot first floor, a 7-foot second floor, and a 5-foot third floor. And some buildings only have 2 stories, making the second floor closer to being to scale. Each unique building is scaled to achieve forced perspective for that specific building, and also to look in proportion to the rest of Main Street. City Hall, the fire station, police station, and the Opera House are the only buildings on Main Street that do not use forced perspective. This is because City Hall, the fire station, and the Opera House have working second floors, requiring them to be at full scale. Main Street also uses an illusion where the castle seems farther than it is, making you want to get to it faster, and the train station closer than it is, making you want to linger on Main Street a little bit longer, and maybe make it seem like the walk to the exit isn't so impossible when you're exhausted after a long day in the park. This one, I haven't actually been able to figure out why that is. Some people say it's because the castle is in forced perspective and the train station is not, and others say it's because the buildings and the trees get shorter the closer you get to the castle, or maybe it's just an unintended effect that people just see. If you know the reason why or have any theories, leave it in the comments down below. And speaking of objects looking closer or farther away, there are a couple of attractions at Disneyland which utilize models to make them look like they are farther away. When you fly over London and Neverland in Peter Pan's flight, the set and models have been designed to make it seem like you are really soaring high above them. You can clearly tell this while flying over London, as the buildings get thinner and smaller as they go down. Another example of an attraction using smaller scale models is Big Thunder Mountain. Rainbow Ridge, the small mining town you pass while on the ride, uses forced perspective by the buildings being scaled smaller, therefore our eyes perceive the buildings as further away. In my opinion, this isn't the best use of forced perspective. I've never been able to see the town as anything but a smaller model, and it's very obvious when your mine train pulls right up next to it. But again, this is why it's so important to have a more controlled viewpoint when using forced perspective. Sleeping Beauty Castle, like the buildings on Main Street, also gets shorter as it goes up to make it seem taller. But rather than just getting shorter as it goes up, the towers slant inward, also giving it the illusion of being taller. Disney also uses a trick where they lighten the colors as it goes up to make it seem taller. Everything just makes it seem taller. This technique of lightening the colors as it goes up is also used on the Matterhorn and the Cadillac Mountain Range in Cars Land. The Matterhorn and the Cadillac Range also have larger trees and objects placed toward the bottom and smaller ones placed toward the top, making them look further away and making the whole thing look larger and taller. The Cadillac Range in Cars Land is my favorite and, in my opinion, the most successful use of forced perspective at Disneyland. Disney also uses forced perspective in videos. What? Videos! On Alice in Wonderland, when you see Alice following the White Rabbit at the beginning of the ride, the video is timed, so as you move past it, it also moves, creating a sense of depth. On Guardians of the Galaxy, the video was filmed to be able to be seen from any angle, so when the ride pauses for the different show scenes, and your vehicle is moving up and down, you can see everything going on, and it also gives it a feeling of being three-dimensional. Those are just some of the ways that Disney uses forced perspective to trick your eyes. If I missed any, be sure to leave it down in the comments below. Also, let me know what are your favorite uses of forced perspective. And as always, thanks for watching.